And welcome back. Kenya's deployment of its police to Haiti has hit yet another hurdle after disagreement arose among political parties involved in the formation of the Transition Council. In particular, the outgoing Haiti Prime Minister Ariel Henry expressed a doubt on the formation of the proposed mediator body, a situation that has cast a grim shadow over the deployment of Kenya police to the Caribbean nation. The formation of the Transition Council has been marred by legal disagreement after Ariel termed the Transition Council unconstitutional and thus illegal. Reports suggest Henry has since sought advice from CARICOM, the Caribbean regional body overseeing the transition process, even as he demands to know the way forward. The latest developments come a month after Haiti and Kenya signed an agreement allowing the deployment of the latter's officers to the multinational mission. The agreement was signed on March 1st by Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki and Haiti Security Minister at State House in the presence of President William Ruto and Haiti Prime Minister Ariel Henry. Mushebi Jr. has the latest.
Kenya and Haiti formalized the deployment of 1,000 police officers to the Caribbean country.
By taking this opportunity to reiterate Kenya's commitment to contribute to the success of this multinational mission, and we believe it is a historic duty because peace in Haiti is good for peace in the world as a whole. And therefore, Mr. Prime Minister, you have my commitment, that of the government of people, and the solidarity of the people of Kenya as we engage in this mission.
The agreement was signed on Friday, March 1st by Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki and the Haiti Security Minister at State House. Also present were President William Ruto and Haiti Prime Minister Ariel Henry.
Kids couldn't go to school. Women cannot have the medical attention that they deserve. And goods cannot move inside of the country. We did this appeal, and you step up and you said, we want to help Haiti. We want to exercise a solidarity with you. Thank you, President. We appreciate it.
The deal comes despite a court order that barred the deployment plan, terming it as unconstitutional.
We are making this response because it is what is right. It is what humanity, it is what humankind can do to fellow humankind.
The Haiti Prime Minister arrived in the country on Thursday after an invitation from President William Ruto, which he stated was to finalize the agreement between the two states to send Kenyan troops to the troubled country.
Since months, we are working together to fine-tune this mission, and finally, we sign. It's the last step before the deployment. We hope that the deployment will occur very soon because the people, they cannot anymore suffer. What this mission is bringing is hope for the future.
In the meeting held at the State House, Ruto promised to help Haiti resolve the gang problem in the Caribbean nation as the two countries share the same origin. This comes after a gang staged an attack, sieging Haiti's main airport, government agencies and police stations, which paralyzed operations in the country on Thursday, February 29th.
I fled my neighborhood when my husband was killed in front of me. But then they set fire to my house again. This is all I own. Everything I can carry. I find myself dragging my things through the streets. I'm 62. I can't take it anymore.
In a video that has been circulating on social media, Jimmy Cherizia, leader of the gang federation G9 family and allies, revealed that a plan was underway to seize control of the government operations.
We're asking residents not to run away when they see us. The guns that you see now will turn against the people's real enemy. We're not firing at residents or the working people. We're going to bring down Ariel and all the corrupt politicians.
Warning Prime Minister Henry not to return from Kenya, the gang leader further directed his crew to rain on police posts, leading to the deaths of 4 people. On January 26th, the High Court in Nairobi, through a ruling delivered by Judge Chacha Mwita, declared police deployment to Haiti unconstitutional, adding that the National Security Police could not deploy police officers outside the country. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, speaking at a conference on Monday, revealed that Benin has also offered 2,000 troops to support the planned Kenyan-led international force to Haiti. The last elected president of Haiti, Jovenel Moise, was assassinated on the 7th of July 2021. The killing plunged the country into political, humanitarian, and security chaos. In the absence of functioning government, and with a limited police force, rival gangs have increasingly seized control of most of the capital Port-au-Prince and more than half of the country. There is not a single elected official left in office, and Haitians have been left with limited access to fuel, water, and food. But while the depth of this crisis is unprecedented, the influence of armed gangs and their relationship with politicians have a long history. So, how did armed gangs become embedded in Haitian politics? The origins of Haiti's political instability can be charted back to 1791, when an uprising of enslaved Haitians overthrew French colonial rule and won independence. But the resulting emancipation came at a price, setting an unparalleled historical precedent. France forced Haiti to pay so-called reparations to their former slave masters. The first installment alone was roughly 6 times the country's income that year. So, Haiti was encouraged to take out loans from French banks to make the payments. This became known as Haiti's double debt. This severely damaged Haiti's economy for centuries and prevented the country from investing in its own development. As recent as the year 1911, for every $3, approximately 441 Kenyan shillings, Haiti generated from the coffee taxes, 272 shillings went to paying debts held by French investors in the early 1900s. Widespread deprivation accompanied near constant political instability, which saw 7 Haitian presidents either ousted or killed over a 4-year period. This led to the occupation of Haiti by US forces in 1915. They promised to stabilize the country, but instead seized control of many of Haiti's institutions, including the banks and the national treasury. Under US government control, 40% of Haiti's national income was spent on repaying debts to American and French banks. Financial experts estimated that had Haiti not been forced to make reparations, its economy would have been $21 billion better off. The US occupation ended in 1934, leaving behind a litany of human rights abuses, including forced labor, torture and executions, and a severely weakened economy.
These people have something infinitely more precious than material wealth: liberty.
1957, A decade after the US relinquished fiscal control, the dictatorship of Francois Duvalier began. Ruling amid economic and institutional fragility and fearing the deadly coup d'etat of the past, Duvalier almost immediately came to rely on armed gangs. In 1959, he created the first paramilitary force known as the Tonton Macoute. They acted as Duvalier's personal guard and secret police, serving as a counterweight to the army who had attempted to overthrow him only a year after he seized power. The Macoute helped Duvalier suppress opposition and brutally enforce his rule through massacres, assassinations, and political violence. And by 1961, the Macoute had become twice as large as the army. They continued to operate under Duvalier's son, Sean Cloud, and even after he was forced from office in 1986, the Macoute would re-emerge in different forms in the late 80s and early 90s, supporting different administrations. In 1991, President Jean Bertrand Aristide was overthrown by a military coup that crucially included former members of the Macoute. This led to another US invention in 1994, alongside a parallel United Nations peacekeeping effort. The aim of restoring Aristide to power, dismantling armed groups and bolstering the police force. But despite international intervention, the situation didn't improve. In the years that followed, armed gangs continued to operate in support of different political parties. A number of these gangs took over community self-defense groups, while others even fused with the state police. These groups formed the basis of what are the established gangs in Haiti today.
Worst disaster in United Nations history. Survivors are continuing to die because of the lack of basic medical help.
On top of such a turbulent political history, Haiti has been rocked by a series of devastating natural disasters. The biggest of which was the 2010 earthquake that killed up to 300,000 people and led to thousands of incarcerated gang members escaping from prison. But the more recent earthquake in 2021, just a month after Moïse's assassination, sent the situation spiraling out of control. Currently, there are around 200 gangs operating across the country, with many in the capital, Port-au-Prince, controlling the large part of Haiti's economy. They profit from kidnapping, raiding businesses, as well as food, fuel, and other supplies. They have also taken control of key infrastructure, drawing income from customs, water, and electricity, and even bus services. With Haiti facing a convergence of so many crises, the specter of international intervention is rising once again.
On the 21st of September, I stood before the General Assembly of the United Nations to express the case for the United Nations Security Council to deliver a framework that would facilitate the deployment of a multinational security support mission to Haiti.
Kenya has said it would send 1,000 police officers to Haiti. When this was first proposed in July, Kenyan officials say the officers would guard government buildings and infrastructure, but that plan changed after Kenya sent a fact-finding mission the following month. The country will deploy an intervention force that will neutralize the armed gangs, protect civilians, and bring about peace and security and order.
The United States stands ready to support that mission by providing robust financial and logistical assistance. And we intend to work with the United States Congress to provide up to $100 million in support. And we urge others in the international community to follow Kenya's great example and to step up and to provide more personnel, equipment, support, training, and funding.
The vicious gangs are armed with automatic weapons smuggled in mostly from the United States. The gang members often outgun the local police, sometimes burning their vehicles and stations. They control or regularly raid the main routes in and out of the capital.
Every ghetto will be on the streets every day, and we have nothing to hide from the whole world. They all know that we have weapons. Not only do we mobilize to fight Ariel Henry, we also mobilize the people. Our fight will also be with weapons against Ariel Henry.
For Maisha Prime, Maisha Television, I'm Bushabi Jr.